I mean, the ending alone is nuts. These people are freaking insane. Hey movie watchers, welcome to today's review of The Highwaymen, starring Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson, and was directed by John Lee Hancock. If you're new to this channel, I'm going to talk about my likes, my dislikes, and then give you the breakdown. And all my reviews have spoilers, so this is your one and only warning. Okay movie watchers, let's review. The Highwaymen starts off pretty slow and is just sort of kind of setting up why they needed Frank Hammer and Manny Galt to begin with. There's obviously some politics behind it, as there's politics behind everything. But setting all this up and getting Frank and Manny back together seems to take about the first 35 or 45 minutes of the movie. Then you basically just have Frank and Manny going from crime scene to crime scene, mostly in Texas, but also across Oklahoma and Louisiana, basically just hunting down Bonnie and Clyde. And as it turns out, they are actually a lot closer to Bonnie and Clyde than they originally thought they were. But with all of the local fame that Bonnie and Clyde are getting, Bonnie and Clyde actually tend to get away quite often. Frank and Manny, however, are relentless on their pursuit of Bonnie and Clyde and devise a plan to trap them. The plan works, and Bonnie and Clyde basically just get shot like straight to hell. I mean, like obliterated with just shot, just dead. Then, in spectacular fashion, their fans were photographed and filmed like ripping and clawing at their clothes and their hair, like of their dead bodies, trying to obtain some sort of memorabilia. Like, what in all of God's glory are you what passes through your mind when, what, I don't even have word, what the hell is that? I mean, the ending alone is nuts. These people are freaking insane. Starting with my likes, like number one, I enjoyed Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson as always. These are two seasoned actors who really have some great movies behind them. I liked how they were two old men in the movie, they're two fairly old men in real life, and I like that this was a constant theme between them. They seem to have decent chemistry as former Texas Ranger partners, and they seem to get along and disagree just about as much as I would expect anyone to do. I do not think their acting was stellar by any means. They both have, better acting, better movies behind them, but I think they both played their roles well, and I felt like it was a perfect fit for this movie. Like number two, I really enjoyed the old-timey feel to the movie. This is obviously a period piece movie, but it can be difficult to set up scenes and shots to make sure everything on screen is actually from the right time period. You've got the old cars to the old buildings, the old gas stations, the type of clothing people are wearing. You've got the dirt roads, the open fields. And the truth is, in 2019, there is so much modern world around us that all these shooting locations actually get harder and harder to find. Like number three, I really like the cinematography in this movie. You've got these really wide, long angles, and you've got these really far off shots. And they really just help tie in that old-timey style and that old-timey feel to the movie. If the camera work gets too fancy, then you end up losing that old-timey feel to it, and you end up with something like Cowboy vs. Aliens, which feels very modern, even though it's set in a time that should feel old. I also really liked part of the camera work where you didn't really show Bonnie and Clyde, but you did show them. You just showed them in really far off scenes where you couldn't quite make out who they were. It keeps a good level of mystery to the story, and as the movie watcher, we are right alongside Frank and Manny, as they don't ever really know what Bonnie and Clyde look like up close. So I thought this was a good way to kind of see what they see and know what they know. And of course, at the end, you finally do see their faces for like a split second before they just get absolutely riddled with bullets, which I also thought was really cool. Moving on to my dislikes. Dislike number one, their accents for the time I thought were actually pretty bad. They weren't good. I think it was because the actors are old and they kind of maybe didn't want to put in the time or the practice to getting these old Southern accents down. They honestly just tried to cover it up though with their choice of words, which I honestly think was a mistake. You can't have a 1930s Southern dialogue and early millennium modern accents, okay? It doesn't completely sell it, certainly didn't sell it for me. Dislike number 2, I do think the movie was too slow in the beginning. There was a point in the movie I remember thinking that if I wasn't a Kevin Costner fan, or if I wasn't so interested in the Bonnie and Clyde story, that I could have easily have turned the movie off and gone on to watch something else. I've got lots of stuff to watch, as you can imagine. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I watched the movie all the way to the end, but as a movie watcher, you don't know that in the beginning. So if the movie's boring in the beginning, you're gonna deter some people from watching it to the end. I could just easily see some people not watching it all the way, and I think that's a shame because the ending is actually, in my opinion, the best part of the movie. So yeah, a little boring up front, but it's worth it. If you haven't seen it yet, stick to it. It gets better as the movie goes on. Movie watcher question. Can you believe the people that were ripping and tearing at Bonnie and Clyde's dead bodies? Like, did that shock you? Because it shocked me. I understand people are crazy in the world, but I didn't realize they were that crazy. That's freaking crazy. That's like a different level of crazy. When the movie was over, I seriously had to go look it up to see if that was real, because I was shocked. To me, that's insane. Okay, movie watchers, here's the breakdown. I'm giving the writing a 6 out of 10. This movie obviously is based off of the true story of Frank and Manny hunting down Bonnie and Clyde. So there's plenty of information and documents and stuff to go off of, and they got a lot right in the movie, but they did get some things wrong. And the things they got wrong, I felt like could have easily been put in the correct way, and they wouldn't have taken anything away from it. So I'm not really sure why they changed them when they had the original story and they knew basically what really happened. And the movie would have been just as good if they just told the story 100% the way it happened. I'm giving the acting a 6.5 out of 10. Without the Southern accents, I just wasn't fully sold on the characters. I am giving the cinematography an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the far off shots and the slow wide angles and just the whole old time feel to it. I'm giving the directing a 7 out of 10. I think overall he does pretty good here, but there were a few mistakes, and I think there just would have been some things that, I think I would have done differently. And for me, it's just a personal opinion. Overall, The Highwaymen gets a 6.5 out of 10 from me. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got more reviews and discussions coming your way, so check back soon for those, and I'll see you on the next one.